Shedeur Sanders' debut exposed a league-wide misread, and now the Browns must decide what to do with the surprise they drafted tenor. Shedeur Sanders did exactly what every underdog story promises: take the narrow chance you're given and turn it into a problem your employer can't ignore. Thrust into Cleveland's preseason opener with Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel sidelined, Sanders delivered a tidy, efficient line. 14 of 23 for 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and showed enough poise, accuracy, and situational savvy to force teams, scouts, and executives to reassess a narrative they helped write during draft season. A blunt observation from former NFL quarterback Kurt Benkert cut to the heart of it. If Sanders had gone in the first round, his debut would create late summer clamoring about a rookie starter. Because he slid to the 5th, he's being quietly judged as merely a nice surprise. That's not just optics, it's institutional bias, and it matters. On tape, Sanders did 3 things that matter most for a young passer. He managed the pocket, processed progressions on rhythm throws, and avoided turnovers. Those are the baseline skills coaches prize above flash. His first touchdown, a play-action boot that found a receiver in the back of the end zone, showed timing and touch. The second, a composed strike into a crowded red zone, demonstrated an ability to set his feet under pressure. He also showed mobility when necessary, converting a 3rd and long with a 10-yard scramble to extend a drive. For a rookie who had taken almost no first-team reps in camp, the performance was as much about process as it was about results. Benkert's point about draft capital and narrative is brutally accurate. The draft functions as a massive credibility signal in the NFL. First-rounders are afforded patience and public trust. They get more reps, benefactors on staff, and airtime to develop. Day 3 picks live behind an invisible skepticism. Every mistake is amplified, and every success is discounted as small sample or preseason noise. Sanders' slide did him a real disservice, not because the player fundamentally changed, but because the market devalued his on-field evidence in advance. That market inefficiency is now the Browns' hidden profit if they choose to harvest it. So what should Cleveland actually do? The rational approach is simple and surgical. Accelerate controlled development without burning the rookie. Keep Joe Flacco as the short-term stabilizer, but intentionally expand Sanders' volume in practices and situational reps, 3rd downs, 2-minute drills, scripted red zone series, while progressively exposing him to disguised blitzes and first-unit rush looks. Let the evaluation be empirical, not anecdotal. If Sanders continues to show sound decision-making under increasingly complex stressors, roster calculus should shift in his favor quickly. He's cheap, team-controlled for 4 years, and a low-risk investment compared with trading or paying up for a veteran stopgap. There are countervailing risks. Overexposure breeds injury and bad tape. Thrown in too early, a rookie can spiral under complex coverages or repeated heat. The same bias that undervalues him can weaponize a few poor outings into a permanent scarlet letter. The Browns staff must therefore script his development. High-quality reps, controlled pressure, and an emphasis on fundamentals. Pocket mechanics, weight transfer, and progression discipline. Protect the player's confidence while expanding the data set evaluators must reckon with. Beyond roster mechanics, Sanders' debut exposes a systemic scouting problem. Evaluators overweight interviews, medical flags, and narrative risk in a way that sometimes ignores pure playmaking. The trick for front offices is to build decision frameworks that balance background due diligence with heavier weighting on on-field competence, especially in college systems that differ schematically from pro play. Sanders' slide indicates some clubs still let intangible worries override tape. That's a fixable error, but only if personnel departments recognize it and adjust their priors. There's a cultural angle too. When a high-profile rookie like Sanders is linked to a celebrity background and high expectations, teams either lean into the circus or let it distract. The Browns should do neither. They ought to insulate the room, protect the rookie from media hyperbole, and let his development path be visible through performance milestones rather than narrative headlines. That reduces the chance of external pressure forcing premature decisions, either promoting him too early or discarding him for failing to match an inflated public expectation. Finally, market effects ripple outwards. If Sanders turns into a reliable backup or legitimate starter, Teams that passed on him will reevaluate how they price risk and character concerns. The NFL's talent market will be reminded that draft position is not destiny. Systematic error creates arbitrage opportunities. Cleveland sits on a potential bargain. The responsible football move is to treat the fine like an asset, increase controlled exposure, measure rigorously, and let the tape drive decisions. In short, Shedeur Sanders' preseason half didn't just help his own cause. It exposed how easily the league lets pedigree and perception override performance. The Browns now hold the test case. Do they let him remain a curiosity, or do they methodically develop an undervalued asset? If they act intelligently, the next few weeks of practice and preseason will answer the question, not with hot takes, but with the only metric that should matter: repeatable on-field competence. Shedeur Sanders announced himself in a way that made it hard to ignore. Thrust into the starting role in Friday's preseason opener because Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel were sidelined, the Browns' fifth-round rookie completed 14 of 23 passes for 138 yards, threw 2 touchdowns, added 4 rushes for 19 yards, and, critically, turned the ball over 0 times. For a player who arrived in Berea with minimal first-team work, that stat line is more than a flash in the pan. It's an argument. Former NFL quarterback Kurt Benkert summed up a hard truth about the league in a single social post. If Shedeur was a top 30 draft pick, we'd hear rumblings about him as the clear QB1 for the Browns today. But because he ended up a 5th-round pick, he only helped his chances of making the team, the league man. Benkert's point is blunt but accurate. Draft status still colors perception. First-round pedigree buys patience and narrative. Day 3 guys have to earn attention twice over. That dynamic hit home with Sanders. Before the draft, he was widely projected as an early pick. Instead, he tumbled to number 144. The reasons for that fall will be debated: interviews, perceived attitude, off-field noise, but the practical result is the same: fewer built-in opportunities and a much steeper climb for recognition. Friday's performance changes the conversation because it couples on-field evidence with the national debate that has surrounded him since April. Context matters. Sanders wasn't handed a pristine game plan. He worked through red zone reps, third and short and long, thin pass protection, and situational pressure. He showed pocket awareness, the ability to throw on the move, and a comfort fitting the ball into tight windows, all encouraging signs for a rookie who's still learning an NFL offense. And yet, it's still a single preseason outing. Coaches and evaluators will stress sample size, nerves, level of competition, and play call scripting can all inflate or mask true ability. So what comes next? For Sanders, 3 immediate paths exist. First, build on it. More preseason snaps and consistent practice reps will let him prove the performance wasn't a one-off. Second, force the Browns' hand. If he repeatedly outplays peers, especially Kenny Pickett, who carries less team control, Sanders could leap from roster curiosity to legitimate contender. Third, stay patient. Even strong showings can be tempered by organizational preference and draft economics. The larger lesson here is institutional bias in evaluation. The NFL rewards investment, and draft position is a long-lasting form of that investment. But football's best filter is tape, and Sanders just supplied it. If he keeps delivering, the talk won't be about where he was drafted, it'll be about where he should play.